of how I'm feeling for you. Ooh, girl, you're blowing my mind. Can't find the words to tell you just what I'm feeling for you. Let me lay it on the line.
Love it.
You're tuned into TAN TV, the African American Network, where we have a local feel with a global reach, and we are presenting our guest host, Bea Baylor. She's got some breaking news. Take it away, Bea.
Thank you, Laura. And I certainly do appreciate you, Laura. You're the general manager of TAN TV. And I'd like to take this opportunity to say, if you're out there on social media, Facebook, share this interview. Start now, put whatever you're doing, put it down. It's in the evening because we've got some hot topics and breaking news, because in the house is Dr. Marilyn Easter, AKA Dr. E. And we're going to be bringing some real talk for Black women, women in academia and leadership positions. Welcome, Dr. E, to TAN TV, a global reach with a local feel. And I'm going to be the host today on the coffee break. Most of the time, maybe all the time, Laura Thompson, general manager, is in charge of the coffee break. But this afternoon, I'm taking full charge. And at this time, and without further ado, I'd like to bring Dr. E in the house, because we're all like so excited and ready for some hot topics. So Dr. E, take it away and tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you so much, Queen Bee. I really appreciate this opportunity. You are the boss lady, thebosslady.com. I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you. Just a little bit about me in brief. I have been in academia for 37 years, and I have been in the colleges of business for all those years. I am currently working at San Jose State University. I'm full professor. And I have been full professor now for about, I've lost track, for about 17 years. And so going through that full professorship, I'm able to just talk to you candidly about things that happen in marketing, things that happen in business. I need to say that I am in marketing and have been for the last 37 years. And I also was co-owner for 30 years with my husband, who owned a dental practice. So from the actual perspective of running a small business and what that's like, that's what I've been involved in for all those years. So whatever else you want to know, let's talk about it.
And there you are. Hey, technical difficulties do happen. So Marilyn, you were like at the end of academia, and you want to go ahead and get that cleared up?
Okay, so did you hear the part about co-owning a dental practice for well over 30 years, a small practice?
Yeah.
So I've been involved in that. That was with my husband. And so doing as a college professor, doing marketing, teaching marketing, and doing research in marketing, epistemology, diversity. I've done research in a lot of different areas. I was able to bring the theory to the practice to help run a very successful dental practice. And that's something I can be very, very proud of, just standing side by side, running a small business. And I know it works. I also know it doesn't work. And so there you have it.
And that was with your husband. Man, in that era and during that time when racism was definitely prevalent.
Well, it's still prevalent. So it wasn't,
Okay.
We dealt with it from the very beginning. We're still dealing with it now. And we're
Wow.
talking about racism on a global platform.
Hmm. So Dr. E, based on your experience in academia, how can we and women of color be a support system to other women in business? And that's a really, really hot question.
Well, you know, the first thing that comes to mind is that we have to prepare ourselves. We cannot be a support system to other women unless we operate with the correct knowledge. And that is, we have to educate ourselves, whether a formal education or the education, as my mother used to say, the school of hard knocks. We have to get out there and we have to learn whatever strategies that it takes to do to run a business, to start a business, and take an idea and run with it. We have to know what the resources are that's out there. We have to be able to be teachable and coachable and trainable. And that's something that I have found. I have had women come to me and say, hey, I have a great idea. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I want to start a business, or I want to do something on social media. The problem that I see is that they're not willing to do the homework to get the job done. You have to be able to do market research. You got to know, you can have a great idea that you think is a great idea, but if society, or you could say your client base, is not ready for that idea or whatever, you could save yourself a lot of time and money and everything else by stopping what you're doing and actually spending some time rolling up your sleeves and doing some research. And so I really believe that if women that are wanting to learn how to help other women, the first thing I would say, hey, rather than saying, well, I'll help you, and you don't know what you're helping and why you're helping, sit back and have a real good conversation and really get into the person's head. What are you doing? If you have an existing business, what is that business about? Is that business profitable? If so, what's making it profitable? If it's not profitable, then we have to investigate what is it that you need, maybe resources, maybe knowledge, maybe you need to pivot and go in a different direction. Maybe you need promotional or maybe marketing to add to the process.
Dr. E, this just seems like a lot. I just want to be in a community. I just want to be able to support and build relationships. But what I hear you saying is that we got to do market research. We got to know about that person. We got to know about that person's business. But do you think that's happening right now with women of color?
Well, I think a lot of things are happening, and it's not one thing that's happening or two things. There's a lot of different aspects of running a business and how we interact with each other. We can support each other by patronizing each other's businesses. We could also help each other by saying, hey, you know what? I know how to do social media and I know what that means. I know how to get you on a platform, but the recipient of that information has to be trainable and teachable and coachable. It's because I have found there's too many people out there, they know what they want and they want someone like me to do the work for them. But my job is to show them what they need, not what they want, but what they need. You got to do that marketing research if you plan to stay in business in the long run. We've run a dental practice for over 30 years and was successful because we did the market research. We knew who our consumers would be. We dealing with all the macro environment as well as the micro environment. And the macro is what's happening in our government. If our government says, we're cutting or whatever it is, how is that going to impact your business? We need to know things like that. We can't be married to an idea and hope that idea is going to sustain itself. So we have to be open.
Right. So that brings me to my next question. I'm loving these hot topics here because from my understanding, Dr. E, you've mentored many women in the university. Would you recommend other women find the time and ability to mentor other Black women And I think you touched on that. So that's kind of a yes or no.
Okay, that's a yes, a definite yes and a definite no. A definite yes first, I would say this. If the person, the mentee, is trainable, coachable, and one that really embraces ideas and suggestions, then I say yes. It's because I'll tell you, the worst thing a person can do is get a mentor and not listen to the mentor.
Not listen.
If you don't listen, you may as well hang it up. And that's when I say,
yes, yes, because it's kind of like, Marilyn, you're spending your time and effort to share knowledge, and knowledge is powerful.
yes.
But if no one implements it or no one wants to listen, right?
You got a problem. Well, here's the thing. When someone goes and they look for a mentor, they can't look for someone to do free labor for them. That's not the purpose of a mentor.
That is not the purpose.
The purpose of a mentor is utilizing their knowledge. Okay, I have 37 years of experience in doing research in marketing. People think that marketing is advertising. Well, that's a piece of it. That's not all of it. So when I tell a person, you got to do some research and you got to look at the data, you got to look at statistics, you got to look at all this stuff before you move forward, they think that's too much work. And so they kind of discount the information because they really want someone to come in and hand them the tools to be successful without doing the work.
Okay, next question. Would you, as a professor, hire a coach?
Absolutely, because I'm smart enough to know that I don't know everything. Okay? I've been in academia for 37 years, but I'm a lifelong learner. So one thing I am smart enough to know, I don't know everything, and I don't know what I don't know. So getting a coach is something that I will do. As a matter of fact, I'm getting a coach right now, doing some things that I plan to do on the side, running a podcast. I'm going to a coach, someone that's been there, done that. So why should I spend my time learning the hard way, going through the school of hard knocks? I don't want to do that, Queen Bee. I want to be able to say, let me open myself up to learning something new, that new paradigm.
Ladies, you heard it from Dr. E. It is important that you know how valuable your time is. And I don't want to spend my time trying to learn things in my new age. So I personally have a coach, will hire a coach, will collaborate with people, pay them, because my time is valuable. So I want to change hats here, Dr. E, because, hey, there's a guy on social media, and his name, I'm going to put him on blast. His name is Alonzo Savon Franklin. And he made a statement, I think it was last week, and I want you really to collaborate on it. And it says, let's dispel the myth that everyone who doesn't support us is a hater or an enemy. Or is it racism?
Okay, that's a loaded statement. But let me tell you what comes to mind when I hear that. I hear that it's easy to be a hater if you're operating on qualitative information. If you're operating on information that you have done your research and you got some data and numbers to back it up, it's hard to be a hater, and it's hard to even call anyone a hater. For example, if I didn't do market research and just say I have a product, I have an idea or whatever it is, and people just don't like it, I can easily say, well, they don't like it because I'm Black, or they don't like it because of this or that. I can point to anything I want qualitatively, because you can't measure qualitative stuff. But if someone says, I really don't like your product because it's not the color choice that I prefer, now I got some data. Okay, I got some data. So I can't call the person a hater. I can only say, thank you. Let me put that color choice in my, in my buying, if I'm going to buy whatever I'm going to buy as far as customer base or whatever it may be, let me use the information, the quantitative something you measure. If you quantify stuff, you can't call a person a hater if there's measured data to be able to put your fingers on. So I agree. Am I agreeing with it? I agree that you just can't call people haters, and you can't default on race.
Right. So we dispel that myth for a lot, because that was his question, and we need to dispel that myth, because it's not true.
Right. It's not.
There are outlying other things that come with it. Just because you don't support me, it doesn't mean that you don't like me. Maybe you don't know how to support me. Maybe I haven't reached out to you. I need to build a relationship with people first before you can support me in anything. Is that true?
When you build relationships is absolutely critical. That's only one of many things one needs to do. If you're running a business, if you're on social media, whatever it may be, whatever platform, it doesn't really matter. Building relationships is really key. Listening and understanding what people are saying, as long as it's measured, is something that's super important. You cannot get wrapped up into your feelings and your emotions. It's because once you're wrapped up in your feelings and your emotions, you are done. You're toast.
God, it is over.
It's over.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. E. So listen, I know a lot of women who are doing amazing things like yourself, but they're afraid to shine in fear of losing their friends. So what do? They remain silent about who they are. They remain silent. So can you elaborate on that, Dr.
Well, let me tell you this, Queen Bee. If I would have allowed the external environment to dictate how I should rise, or the level in which I should just stop rising, I never ever would have become full professor in academia. So what the point I'm making is that what we have to do is have that internal talk with ourselves and know that we are worth it. We are enough. If you could say, I am enough, and I'm enough. Hey, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm loving me. And even though there's people out there that don't love me or they don't care about me, I love me enough to keep rising. And you're going to have, now let's get back to the qualitative thing. There's going to be some haters out there. Now I'm talking about the bona fide haters that are looking at maybe what I want to do, and they just want to keep me down because they're down. Every pity party, there's always people that want individuals to join their pity party. Queen Bee, there's no way. We can't go there. What can I say? We got to keep rising to the top.
To the top, straight to the top, AKA Mark Davenport. Straight to the top, and the only way to get there, show your shine. It's your shine.
Right.
No one gets their hand on my chest and tell me what to do. So I want to shine. So I shouldn't be silent about my accomplishment. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. If you are around the right people, you have to have your circle. You got to be selective. You can't just let anyone come into your circle and expect for them to treat you the way you want to be treated. You have to teach people how to treat you. And if they're in your circle and they're not treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, bye-bye, Felicia.
Because when women are winning, or anyone are successful, the conversation's different.
The conversation is different. The conversation is how we can help each other. What can we do for each other? It's like when I met you, Queen Bee, you were all arms and open. What can I do to help you rise? When I met, several people that you have introduced me to, people in your circle, then they, hey, you know what? I want to buy your book because I know that you just had a brand new book, and check this out. I would give them a book, but I want to buy the book because I want to support my Black community.
Yes. I love that you just said that, because we as women sometimes want discounts. We want things for free. And as Najia says, I've heard her say, you go into the stores, you don't get a discount. Whatever's on that shelf, that's your discount. But you can't go in and say, I want this Louis Vuitton and I want it for this price. And then you expect the store to say, yeah, we'll sell it to you. And we do that sometimes, come in to ask for a discount. And it is what it is. And
I'd like to inject something with that. My mother-in-law ran a soul food restaurant for 40 years in Richmond, California. And she is one of the best cooks, on this planet, as far as I'm concerned. People would go to her soul food restaurant and they would say, well, I need some more greens on my plate. Or hey, can you give me an extra pork chop or whatever? And then I started thinking, I said, wait a second. You don't go into McDonald's and say, well, throw in an extra burger. And then, you don't do that. You don't go in McDonald's and say, I need some more fries in that bag. You take what they give you and you pay the money, you walk out.
Yes.
So when my mother-in-law was telling me that, this is what people do sometimes, I didn't believe it until I was in the restaurant helping her. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean more greens and more of this or more of that? So what we have to learn to do is respect each other's businesses. And we also need to respect each other's businesses the way that we would respect these big corporations.
Amen.
We just got to do it. We just cannot assume because this is a Black business, then you're deserving of giving me a discount. We get that twisted sometimes. We have to be able to respect each other and pay whatever it is that we're charging.
You're listening to Hot Topics with Dr. E and B. And boy, this is some delicious information. And ladies, if you have not shared the live, then you should do so because I have a question and it's a hot topic that Dr. E and I had a conversation about. And I want you to talk about imposter syndrome because we sometimes try to pretend we're somebody else, but you said, I can never be like you, B. So talk about that in details. And I just really want to know, how can we present ourselves in a more authentic, transparent way instead of imposter syndrome?
Okay, that's a really good question. The imposter syndrome, a person is in a position and they know they really are not prepared to be in that position. And this negative self-talk saying, I hope they don't know that I really don't know. Now, I don't know if you heard this term, fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
I believe that faking it till you make it, when I was just a little girl, I heard about that. And I said, what does that mean, fake it till you make it? Well, it really gets a person really into that imposter syndrome. And that is because if you know you're not qualified or you believe you're not qualified and you're in a particular position, you have that negative self-talk thinking that they're going to find out that I really don't know. Now, in some cases, people really know their stuff, but they have this negative self-talk to the point that they don't even grow. It's because they keep telling themselves, well, I really shouldn't have this job, or I really shouldn't be doing this because they're going to find out I really don't know. My solution to that imposter syndrome is to work on our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and know that you've earned the right to be wherever you are, whether you're the president of a company, a CEO, or a marketing person, it doesn't really matter. You've done your work and you have to continue to breathe life into who you are and tell yourself that you're worthy of that position and that you're the best in that position, that you're doing your very best. My mother used to always tell me, she says, Marilyn, you got to learn to give yourself a pat on the back. It's because if you wait for somebody else to do it, it may not ever happen. And so it gets back to your question number one. And I talked about as far as what we should do as far as resources with other Black businesses. We have to be prepared. And if you're prepared, that will help eliminate that imposter syndrome. I see a bunch of people on Facebook doing all kind of social media. They're faking it, but you can't fake it if people know what you should be doing or what you shouldn't be doing. So there are a lot of imposters out there. They're running businesses. They're running the world. And we have to be able to be sharp enough to be able to see those people that are faking it and those people that really know their stuff. Let me just say one final thing on this piece. If I were going into surgery, I had brain surgery before. I don't want an imposter to do any kind of brain surgery. I want the person that's gone through the grind, gone through the research, gone through the educational process to work on my body. Because I've had brain surgery, I can speak on this. I looked for the best. I looked for the sharpest. I looked for the person that could get me through that surgery and me not die on the table. An imposter, however, could fake it and pretend like, okay, I know how to do this. I wouldn't be able to tell the story right now. So I take the imposter syndrome serious enough that I was like, okay, I'm not going to fall into that trap. I'm going to know that I know that I know, and I'm going to burn the midnight oil and know my stuff. And if I make a mistake, that's okay. Get back up, dust off, and keep going.
You heard it from Dr. E. Ladies, get yourself together, get knowledgeable, be the expert, say what you can do, stay in your lane, because we are looking for true, authentic business collaborative partners. And we want to know that you say that you can do what you can do. I love collaborating and really sharing in the pot and profit, but I can't do the work because I want you to come as an expert. And that really brings me to this is a off the beaten path, but there are a lot of women out there that are looking for contracts. So Marilyn, does racism exist in government entities? Or is there corruption, favoritism? So as a Black owner, can I get a contract?
Well, let me just say this: racism, corruption, privilege, all of the above have been around for the last 400 years. There's no threat that it's going to go away. But if you're going to go for a contract as a Black person, yeah, you're going to run into some racism. That's okay. We have to get over it. We know we can't use that as a reason to not go for that contract. But let me say this: if you have the resources, if you connect with the right people that can help get you to where you need to be, when you go for that contract, you can almost, I slam dunk guarantee you're going to get it, or you're going to be very competitive as far as getting that contract. But if you go and try to get a contract and you know that all your T's aren't crossed, your I's aren't dotted, and you're going to go in there half baked, then you're not going to be able to get that contract. So I say this, is that anything that I've set out to do, I always do my homework. I go way out of my way to not only do my homework, but I talk to professionals like you, Queen Bee. I know where to go. I have marketing professionals. I'm a marketing person, but it's like a doctor operating on himself or herself, or a lawyer presenting himself or herself in court, or whatever it is. We all need professionals, even in our own disciplines, that we can bounce ideas off of. And so what I do is I have a cadre of people that I always talk to about any ideas that I might have, because I'm not married to what's in my brain. I have to make sure that I'm open-minded enough to take in new information and do more research.
Love it. That is a no-brainer. It all falls back to the research. Know the business, know the process, get your certification, have your business in order, get your business in order if you want that contract.
Let me say one other thing, the Queen Bee. We have to slow it down sometimes. People set dates. They set arbitrary dates that when they want to start and when they want to do this or do that. Sometimes you have to pivot and you have to slow it down. If you're not ready, don't get out there half-baked. Get your act together first. Take advice from your mentor, if you have a mentor, or whoever the resources are that you're dealing with. Get that advice and really hold dear to the advice, because there's people out there that's been there, done that, and they can save you from crashing and burning.
Thank you, Dr. E. And you're listening to Hot Topics, and I'm winding down. And this question is huge, Dr. E. What keeps us going in this pandemic and in this racist society? Because as Black women, we're trendsetters. So I want to know what keeps us going.
We are resilient. And it goes all the way back to one of my favorite, we're resilient. Harriet Tubman. I mean, she had whatever her disabilities were, she didn't let that stop her from freeing the slaves. She kept on going. And so I'd say this, as a people, we're totally resilient. We can get knocked down, but we're coming back up.
Coming back.
They can try to drown us, but we're like a buoy. We keep coming back to the surface. So we keep pressing on and we keep moving forward. And yes, we're trendsetters. Look at Beyonce. Beyonce could say something, wear something or whatever. And guess what? Everybody in the world is going to try to do what she's doing. Look at Rihanna. Rihanna is she's a multi-billionaire. Rihanna, a trendsetter. And so we have so much going, there's so much richness in the African-American community. And we need to really embrace every little thing that we have. And rather than looking at what we don't have and looking at racism, looking at privilege and corruption, we can look at that, but we can say, okay, I know how to get around all of that because we are resilient. You either bust through it, you go around it, you go over it, you go under it, but you can get through it no matter what.
Do we have buying power?
Absolutely. Well, we have a lot of buying power, but we need to put our money in our own communities so that we can spread the wealth amongst ourselves and we can keep our small Black businesses in business. So yes, we do have the buying power and yes, we need to continue to support each other.
Thank you, because I love supporting women and women of color in general. Dr. E, you have a book. This book is called Resilience, Bravery in the Face of Racism. You see more women at work and in life are more resilient despite of the challenges and barriers that they face. And why did you write this amazing book? And then tell us where we could find.
Okay.
Because
well,
I have a signed copy.
Okay, well, let me say this. You have your signed copy. That's cool. And I'm glad that you've read the book. And I'll just say this because you've asked a loaded question, and that's a whole new different television show. So let me just put everything in a very concise manner. There are less than 5.5% of all professors in the nation are Black. And so when you have a low percentage of Blacks in academia, we already know that there's a problem right there. And so having looked at the few Blacks that are in academia, and I always have to refer to, let's see, Nicole Hannah Jones. She was the Black woman, or she is the Black woman that was at UNC, that left UNC and said, you know what? I can be treated better than this. This woman had a Pulitzer Prize winner as well as a Peabody, and they were giving her pure hell at UNC and would not allow her to get tenure. So what she did, she says, okay, I'm going to go to an HBCU and I'm going to be able to be free and be able to educate my students the way that they deserve to be educated. So I applaud people like her that get over the racism, they deal with the corruption or whatever, they are resilient. The reason why I wrote the book, and I'm gonna make this real quick, is that I went through so much in my own career that was absolutely unbelievable, that anyone should have to go through so much to keep a job, but primarily in academia. I said, I have to write the book and talk about this character named Emma. And so Emma is the Black character that talks about her life going into academia, but then she was able to point to the racism from the time she was 5 years old all the way through the time she became full professor. So in essence, the book talks about the racism in academia, but the bottom line, Emma was always resilient.
Yes.
I'm always resilient. There are a lot of Emmas in the world that's resilient, and we have to be able to call it out and be able to support each other in ways in which the rest of the world may not support us. So I would say, if you want to get more information about resilience, bravery in the halls of academia, bravery, racism, corruption, and privilege in the halls of academia, you can get it on Amazon.com. It's right there, ready to go. You can also read on the inside of the book while you're there. And so you could read the first few pages. If you want a signed copy, you can get it on Square.com. And so there you have it.
And we're going to wrap it up because you're listening to TAN TV, a global reach with a local feel with Laura Thompson as general manager. And Dr. E, I'd love for you to leave us with an affirmation that can just stay with us, that you can leave that make us better, and a way that we could support each other. If you could do that and we could wrap this up. And I really, really appreciate you for your beautiful answers and all that you have given and things that you've done. Dr. E, take it away.
Well, thank you. This just gets into a paradigm shift that I have for myself, a venture that I have with Queen V, that's Vanita Reynolds, and we're starting a podcast called Audacity to Believe. And the audacity to believe, if your listeners have the audacity to believe in themselves, regardless of the trials, regardless of the tragedies or whatever it is, you have the audacity to believe that you can run a business, or that you can be an A student, or whatever it may be, whatever situation you're in, you can and will be resilient. And so take the negative, whatever that might be, turn it into something very positive. And I just want your listeners to know that if they focus on positive, do your homework, do your research, take your time with it. There's no rush. The platform for success is huge. We all can be successful together. So it's not that you got to race to the finish line only to crash and burn, but go to that finish line, lock arms with other people that look like you, so that we can get to where we need to get together.
Thank you, Dr. E. And I am Bea Baylor, your talk show host for today on TAN TV. I am a high performance coach for Bea Baylor Coaching. Hey, I am a Promote Her sister. And as we say in Promote Her, when you win, sis, I win. Boss lady, that's the way we have to go. And bringing up other women so we all can win. Thank you for listening to Dr. E, aka Dr. Marilyn Easter, and Bea Baylor. Laura, take it away. Thank you, Dr. E. This was so powerful.
Thank you.
I loved it.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Are we still on?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
well, I would just say this.